Hey guys, it's Nate,
And Sean,
and we're bringing you another episode of End of the Week. This lock isn't possible. Uh, we're playing Skyrim.
we are playing Skyrim, and only Skyrim. There is only Skyrim.
It's something really great about lockpicking, and I realize I'm going off on a tangent before I even
Before we even
podcast.
start, it's a good
But
sign.
I'm trying to pick this lock, and it's an adept lock, and I'm never going to be able to unlock it. Oh, never mind, just did. But I'm leveling up from breaking lockpicks, so
Yeah, this game seems to reward you for every
everything.
little bit that you do. Yeah.
I really love that. I was talking about that last week actually with Modern Warfare, where I felt like absolutely everything I did rewarded me, and regardless of my performance, I still managed to come out as the winner because I was leveling up and stuff. And ooh, this is an ominous staircase.
Yeah, it definitely makes the game, a little more accessible to people because whereas usual RPGs, you only level up by fighting things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. In Skyrim, you can level up from, like you said, lock picking, making spells, making potions, enchanting stuff, disenchanting stuff, robbing people, killing people,
Hmm.
reviving people.
Now,
It's very open ended.
I'm trying to take more of a virtuous path with my character. Like, I was offered very early in the game, like disturbingly early in the game, to become a werewolf. Uh, I joined the companions, and like the second mission, I meet this guy who turns into a werewolf, and he's like, "Oh yeah, all our higher ups can do this. It's no big deal." And so I come back, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you know how I said only the higher ups can do it? You want to do it?" I'm like,
You
no."
like? And, well, of course, for those of you who don't know, the companions are a group of mercenaries. They're kind of like peacekeepers. For any of you who are fans of Oblivion, it's sort of like the Fighters Guild from
Hmm.
that game.
As
And
opposed to, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, you can go ahead and say what you're saying.
I was gonna say, as opposed to the companions in Firefly, which are prostitutes.
No, they don't spend sexy time. They spend fighty time.
Hmm.
It doesn't really matter. Skyrim is awesome, completely and totally, utterly awesome.
Speaking of awesome, I'm I'm walking down a hallway. Keep in mind, I played Oblivion for about 2 hours, and I hated it. I hated it. I played it maybe three times. Three times I started a new character and played for probably about 2 hours and hated it. I thought it was boring. The pacing was horrible. The characters were lackluster, and the story was boring. But I mean, just from what I'd played, I had not given it enough time and whatever. But I mean, I've been playing this for maybe about 15 hours, and
Kind of a change there, huh?
I'm only renting it from Redbox, so I've only had it for about a day and a half now. So
And how do you feel?
I feel great. I mean, just all right. Back to my point though. I'm walking down this cold hallway, and there's just a bookcase here. And on the bookcase there are potions and stuff. And I look over here, and there's a scroll on this bookcase that teaches me a very powerful ice spell. And I mean, like in other games, you look at the bookcase and you expect to see oh books, 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 books. I mean, just sitting here is a very powerful spell. I didn't have to brave a dungeon or kill a dragon or anything like that.
Although there is dragon killing.
Yeah. Well, you can do those things. You don't really have to if you don't want to. You could spend the whole game just being a blacksmith if you felt like it.
Yep, you can completely skip the main story and be a blacksmith or a lock maker, picker, whatever you want to be.
Yes. See, unfortunately, because we're doing the podcast, I'm a little reluctant to go through the story now because I know it's going to go into a story part, and I want to listen to that. But I guess that's just something I'm going to have to live with.
Well, speaking of the story, as with most Elder Scrolls games, they're kind of variable. You can choose what path you want to take through it. And I thought the beginning of the game, it starts off. It's not really a spoiler since it happens in the first 10 minutes of gameplay. You're immediately set up for execution. And I thought a really interesting dynamic with that is this game follows kind of a basic Imperials versus Rebels. One wants freedom, the other wants order kind of setup, right?
Right.
And from the very get-go, they give you an option to choose which side you want to be. Now, the way that happens is during your execution, certain events happen, and yeah, let's just go ahead and say it, a dragon shows up. So your execution's kind of put on hold. And as you're making your escape, you have the option to either leave with the rebellion people who were captured alongside you, or leave with the Imperial guy who's trying to save your life. And it kind of sets up your path through the game. I mean, it doesn't. Whichever path you take, you can still go and help the other side. Like, say, if you escape with the rebels, you can still go become an Imperial, and if you escape with the Imperials, you can still go join the rebels, which is really cool. But the fact that it gives you that option to choose the way you want to play and choose what side of the story you want to see, I don't know. I'm in love with that kind of thing, man.
Spoiler tag, by the way.
Well, it's not much of a spoiler tag since it happens in like the first 10 minutes of gameplay.
Oh, okay. But which side did you go with?
Actually, I did both. I wanted to see what the differences between the two were, so I went with the Imperials first, and saw how that played out, and then I went with the Rebels. For the most part, they play out almost the exact same, except there's a few dialogue changes, and they direct you on different paths after you finish after you essentially escape the dragon attack. Mm-hmm. The Imperial guy, he wants to send you off to the Imperial stronghold so you can join the Legion, and the Rebel guy wants you to go off and join the Stormcloaks, I believe is what the rebellion is called. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's not too much difference except a few story elements, but I still think that's a really cool concept. I love that kind of stuff.
Right, I went with the Imperial soldier as well, mostly because a dragon is attacking, and well, you're given the option. Go with the guy that you sat in a cart with for 15 minutes and had a nice conversation with, or go with the guy who's probably going to save your life. But the best part about that is I chose neither side. I want to become an Imperial, but first I want to like level up and power up my guy. So I instead decided to go to this really remote college out in these frozen mountains.
The boonies.
Yeah, where I am learning how to become a mage, because I find the magic system a lot more impressive than the melee system. But which was one of my biggest problems with Oblivion as well. I hated the combat, and so I got away from that as quickly as possible when I started playing this. I really like archery. I think the archery system has been way improved. Like, the arrows don't feel like... Right, in Oblivion, the arrows, you would fire them and they'd go like 2 feet and they would make like a little sound when you shot them. It was just boring and horrible. But I mean, now it's like the arrows actually go straight, and you can... everything is just much better. I just really enjoy archery and long range combat in Oblivion. I mean, in Oblivion, in Skyrim.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, one thing to latch onto that you were just talking about is the magic system. It's definitely changed from Oblivion. Whereas in Oblivion, you could assign a bunch of different spells. Of course, that's basic stuff. But in this game, you assign spells to essentially your left or your right hand. So you can choose to, wield a sword in one hand, wield a spell in another, or you can simply dual wield spells, which I don't know if you've tried that yet. It's freaking awesome.
I'm going through the path now where I've done this with Restoration and Destruction, where if you dual wield, or if you shoot the same spell from both hands, they kind of combine and make like one more powerful spell.
Yeah.
So, and I've also got it so that when doing so, I use like 50% less magicka.
That's another thing. Alongside the the dual wielding magic system. Oh, and by the way, people were playing Skyrim right now. I just found a novice conjurer with a sword through him stuck to a wall. Poor guy. But it's just the things you find in this game. But there's also a